In a small village nestled between green hills and endless fields of crops, there lived a young man named Jonah. He was poor, so poor that his clothes were patched together from scraps, and his meals were often nothing more than a handful of breadcrumbs. Jonah lived in a modest hut on the outskirts of the village, sharing it with his elderly mother, who had taught him the ways of simple living. Every day Jonah would help his mother tend to the garden, fetching water from the well and fixing what little was broken. The villagers often passed by and would offer him a pitying glance. But Jonah was never bitter. He smiled at them, knowing that there was no shame in hard work, no matter how humble the life one lived. One evening, as Jonah sat outside his hut staring at the setting sun, an idea struck him, a simple yet brilliant idea. The village was filled with farmers who grew a variety of crops, but there was no baker. People relied on the distant town for bread, and it wasn't always fresh. What if he could bake bread for the villagers? What if he could create something they'd be willing to buy from him? Something that would both feed them and give him a small living? Jonah had no money to buy flour, yeast, or an oven, but he was resourceful. With the little savings he had, he purchased a small bag of flour from a neighboring village. Using a stone oven his father had built years ago, Jonah began experimenting with bread recipes. He used his knowledge of plants and herbs to infuse his bread with unique flavors: wild garlic, fresh rosemary, and even sweet honey from the bees in his mother's garden. The first batch he baked was far from perfect, but he wasn't discouraged. He worked day and night, tweaking his recipes, improving his technique. Eventually, he baked a loaf so delicious that it became the talk of the village. Word spread quickly, and villagers began to line up outside his small hut, eager to taste his bread. They couldn't believe the quality of his loaves, light, fragrant, and satisfying in a way no bread had been before. But Jonah didn't stop there. He realized that bread alone wouldn't make him rich. So he expanded his offerings. He started making pies, pastries, and cakes, each one more decadent than the last. He learned how to make sourdough, French baguettes, and even delicate croissants.